Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening, good evening. Miss Justice, number one in here tonight. Much love, PG. Hey, girl, much love to you. Brat, number two. Good evening, PG. Much love. God bless. Hey, girl, God bless you all. Number two in here tonight. And Karen, number three. Hello, everyone. Much love to you. Purple Hearts for Summer. There you go, girl. God bless. Who is number four? You gotta bear with me. Bear with me. I gotta make sure I get this right. Ah, it's Australia. Australia is number four, I believe, or was she number two? Hold on. Nope. Miss Justice number one, Brat number two, Karen number three, and Australia is number four. All right. God bless. PG, much love. Much love to you, girlfriend. You know it. All right. Crazy retired lady, how you doing tonight, sweetie? Deputy Sheriff, good to see you. Good to see you in here. God bless. And Jan, how you doing, sweetie? Karen A. Let's get down through here. There you are, Pam. Hey, PG Chat Mods. Hey to you, Pam. Good to see you in here, girlfriend. Only eyes for you. How you doing tonight? Let me see. Patty Allen says, hello, PG in chat. Much love and prayers. God bless. Gary, how you doing tonight, sweetie? Hey, beautiful PG Mods chat. Good to see you all. Much love to you. Linda, how you doing? My three girls, my fragile little mind, Georgia Wildchild, Pauline, Lisa, how's everybody doing? Their mouth, oh, that's beautiful. Purple Hearts for Summer. Dorothy, Ruth, how you guys doing? Oh, legendary, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, girl. Hey, Yorkshire Rose, how you doing tonight, girl? PD, you sound tired. I am. I am tired. Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Lynn, how you doing? Hello, PG, All Summer's Army. Hello, Spread Love. How you doing? Coupon Mama, how you doing tonight? Good to see you. Hello, PG. Hello to you, girl. Absolutely. It helps the channel. Hit that thumbs up. If you haven't hit it, please do. Anyway, a lot of new information, right? A lot of new information is coming to surface on DeeDee's case. I'm going to go over some of it. She wasn't 44. She was 55. Her husband is 3 years older than her. He's like 58. And that it wasn't her dad in the cabin, the old man in the cabin. That wasn't her dad. Because the person I'm talking with said that was like 9 months ago. That she was in the cabin with an old man. DeeDee's dad had passed away, I believe, in 2023. Her mother passed away, I believe it was 2022. And DeeDee was an only child. She was an only child. She had no children. And she was married to this Fred guy for quite a long time. And I believe the house in Tennessee is the house her dad lived in that she acquired once he passed away back in 2023. And then she has a home in Georgia, and the outside of it looks exactly like where Candace was selling all the stuff. And the dad, it wasn't DeeDee, it was the dad that owned several properties. He was the one that had, different homes and owned different properties. So she obviously inherited his home in Tennessee, and then and that was the house in Georgia belonged to her mother. That was her mother's, I think, a vacation home her parents had over in Georgia. So that address went back to her mom. So she obviously inherited that home. Her dad let her have that home when her mother passed away. And then she inherited her dad's home and his other properties when he passed away in 2023. So, and she being an only child, she had no siblings or anything like that. Now, I don't know about, she's probably got cousins, and there is other people attached to her name, including, and Fred's name isn't Fred, it's actually Alfred, and they must call him Fred, but his name's Alfred, her husband. Yeah. So, who was the old man in the cabin? I don't know. But I do know that she had no one, being an only child, she had no one that's really going to be looking, and both of her parents passed away. She would have no one looking in to what, into her autopsy, into, what caused her untimely death, and so forth and so on. It might be, I don't know. I think that I was being funny, and when I was talking to Fred about Summer and the people surrounding Summer's case, I think he was like putting off dinner or putting off something, and I think I told him something to the, I think I said something just jokingly about, hurry up, Alfred, it's tea time, basically laughing, Alfred's supposed to be the chauffeur, right? He's supposed to be a chauffeur, and he's supposed to, up the speed of getting to, getting home because it's almost tea time. And it's one of those, one of those English jokes. But anyhow, I believe that I was kidding around Fred and said it, and I don't know why Ziggy took the name Alfred and decided to, that's going to be PG's husband's name, right? That's going to be my husband's name. I'm like, I don't think he would like that name. Maybe I should call him that and see, right? I might even pick a damnest time to call him Alfred too. So I can really get a reaction out of him. That would be most hilarious. To my understanding, there's this rumor going around that they're going to, supposedly, do a second autopsy, but they can't do a second autopsy because she was cremated. She was cremated on the 11th of September. There's nothing to do an autopsy on. You know, all the evidence is gone. I mean, they can't even, you know, exhume her. They can't even exhume her from the grave, because, you know, she was cremated, right? So they're, you know, what are they going to do an autopsy on? That's bullshit. That's bullshit. They have no idea, you know, the autopsy was inconclusive, meaning they don't have any idea why this woman would, you know, would just out of the blue pass away like that. But there's a lot of similarities between Summer's case. You know, it's remarkable. It's remarkable how much similarities are between these two cases. You know, and then now they're trying, you know, I heard that she had gotten gallbladder surgery, which is, you know, yes, it's a major surgery, but it's also Band-Aid surgery because they got a new way of doing it now. It's not like, you know, it's not open anymore. It's, you know, now it's way less invasive, and they're able to, you know, basically it takes like 4 to 6 weeks to heal up, you know, from gallbladder surgery. But now they're trying to say, no, she had, you know, gastric surgery, which is, you know, a little more invasive, and it takes a lot longer to heal from, right? But I don't know how she could have, I don't know who would give her that type of surgery, because that's for people who are severely obese, right? It's for people who are severely obese, and to help, you know, to help their quality of health, if they're not able to be self-disciplined enough to, you know, to lose the weight on their own. It's a lot easier, you know, it's a lot healthier, a lot safer, and a lot easier to lose weight on your own, you know, like start walking for one, start walking, you know, start out, you know, walking, like taking a walk around 1 block, and then build yourself up to, you know, 2 blocks. When you're able to walk around 1 block with no problem, start walking around 2. When you're able to walk around 2 blocks with no problem, start walking around 3. You know, build yourself up to where you can walk 1 mile, you know, a day. You can walk 1 mile. And I would suggest that you do it about 3 times a week, not every day, but, you know, unless, like, if you're 45 and younger, yeah, you know, do a mile a day if you want to. It ain't going to hurt you. But if you're 45 and over, I suggest that, you know, you do a mile about 3 times a week. You don't want to overly stress yourself. Don't jog, walk. No jogging, walk. Jogging is very harmful, very stressful on the body. It's not good, you know. It's not, if you're not used to running, you know, if you're not used to running, like if you didn't run track in, you know, high school, middle school, if you're not a runner, if you wasn't running track or playing, you know, baseball or football or whatever, if you weren't into sports, it probably ain't a real good idea to be a big time jogger, because your body's just not going to be used to it. And even if you are in sports, it's still dangerous. It's still dangerous. Because hitting that pavement is, very stressful. It's very stressful to the body. Very stressful for the organs. It's very stressful, not all doctors, but some doctors will tell you, especially heart surgeons, they will tell you, you know, if you're going to walk, walk. If you want to exercise, walk. Do not jog, because jogging it overworks the body. It overworks you. Um, you know, but you should do it about 3 times, I say, a week. Cut out all snacks. Cut out the snacks. Cut out the cakes, the pies, the chips, the ice cream. Cut it all out. Cut out the pasta. Cut pasta and cheese. All of that, stuff out of your life. If you want to lose weight, you really should eat baked foods, right? You should eat baked foods, baked potatoes, baked chicken. Deep fries, okay, once in a while, but you should mostly, eat baked foods and stuff like that. Stay away from all the greasy stuff, and eat 3 meals a day. Cut all the other crap out of your life. Save your piece of pie for the end of the night, right? Have a cup of coffee or something to drink, a glass of milk, a piece of pie, maybe a little half of a sandwich before you go to bed. But stick to the 3 meals a day. Stick to, and I'm talking TV dinner size meals, not like, a whole plate of this and a whole plate of that. It's like TV dinner size meals. 3 times a day, your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner. And you lose in 3 months. If you eat 3 meals a day, TV size dinners, have your snack at the end of the night before you go to bed, and you get up every day and clean your house. Don't sit around. Actually get up and clean each room. Go clean your car. Go clean your yard. Like I said, take a walk. Start out with 1 block, work your way up to a mile. Do that 3 times a week on top of everything else. In 3 months, you lose 20 pounds. You lose 20 pounds. In 6 months, you'd be 40 pounds less. Trust me, I know. I put it to the test. Not on myself, because I ain't never weighed enough. But I put it to the test on people I loved. And I'm telling you, that weight melted off like butter. It came off like butter. And, and I mean, you don't know. You don't know how quick you can lose weight. And always buy your clothes a smaller size. So you look, so you go out and buy yourself some new clothes, 1 size smaller. And that gives you an incentive to work, to, stay on your diet, to keep exercising, cleaning, doing what you got to do. And you'll be in those clothes. You'll be in that size smaller. I say definitely within 3 months. Maybe 2 size smaller in 3 months. But definitely the size smaller. And that's how, and every 3 months, you're going down a size. You're going down a size. Until you're healthy. And that's the best way to get healthy. All this surgical stuff is dangerous. It's dangerous. But now they're saying she had that, but I can't see them giving her that, because she would have had to been obese, and she definitely was not obese. I seen a picture of her. She was, she was a very thin woman. So I really can't see them doing that. And that kind of surgery, it takes like months to get over. Like, it takes a long time to get over that gastral surgery. Gastric surgery takes bypass. It takes a while to heal from. Um, that's major surgery. It is major. And it takes months to heal. You have to, stay in a hospital 3-4 days. You have to eat you have to be on a really strict diet because your stomach is way smaller than it used to be. And you only lose about 15 pounds every 6 months. You lose about 15 pounds. If you do it my way, the healthy way, all on your own, you lose 20 pounds in 3 months, 40 pounds in 6 months, if you do it my way. I don't know why these people go and do that stuff. I wouldn't do it. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being, there's nothing wrong with being a large person if you're happy. If you feel good, if you feel good, like health-wise, you're feeling great. You might not like, seeing yourself in the mirror. But if you like the way, if you feel good and you're happy and you're getting around good, why the hell change it? Why change it? There's nothing wrong with being, with having weight on you and being happy and feeling great. I mean, like if you did, God forbid, but if a person did get sick, they'd wish they had that weight to lose, right? If something happened, you'd wish you had some weight to lose. Because a lot of people, they can't bounce back because, they were too small to begin with. And then when they got sick, they lost all that weight. And they can't bounce back. Where if they would have had some weight on their body, well, they'd have been able to bounce back because they just still had, something to keep them going. But, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Right? I don't know. But I don't know what kind of surgery she had now because it sounds like these people don't know. These were supposed to be her bestest friends. These people were supposed to, I heard this woman was a real gift giver, really helping these people out financially, giving them, big gifts and really being kind to, to these people she liked. She knew and she liked. And it sounds like they didn't do nothing but take advantage of her. Not a damn one of them seemed to sit down and really get to know this woman. None of them sit down and, got to know exactly what she was having surgery for. Yeah, see, G says she had gallbladder surgery and not gastric surgery. The gastric bypass. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm talking about. They ain't none of them. I don't think she did. Nana. I don't think Tennessee Nana. I don't think she did. I don't think she had a YouTube channel. She, she went on other people's channels. She didn't have one of her own. And I don't know what's wrong with these people. I just, I find them to be very, very freaking evil. They didn't get to know this woman, you know. They got to know her enough to use her, abuse her, but they didn't know her enough to know how old she was. They didn't know how old her husband was. They didn't know anything about her life or what kind of surgery she had. They, these people, what the hell? You call somebody your friend and you don't take time to get to know them. You don't take time to learn stuff about them. Um, I don't know. You know, I mean, this is a woman that they was talking to every day. They was talking to her every day. If I talk to somebody on, every day, I'm going to know everything about them, right? And they took samples of tissue and blood in order to do a medical investigation. I hope so. I hope so because, they're talking about a second autopsy. And you cannot do a second autopsy without the body. There's no way in hell you can do a second autopsy once the person's been cremated. And that's what they're saying. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think this woman had anybody that cared enough about her to, well, you couldn't notify the hospital because you couldn't really notify the hospital because by the time these people are supposed to talk to this woman every day, and this woman is deceased for 3 weeks, 3 weeks before they're told she's passed away. Candace and Fred, her husband, hid her death for 3 whole weeks. If I was her friend and Candace was hanging around answering the phone and I'm trying to get a hold of DeeDee and Candace is telling me she's not there, I'm going to tell you about the third day, I'm going to be notifying law enforcement that something must be wrong because this criminal that this woman has took up with who is a number one suspect in her own daughter's disappearance is, answering this lady's phone, not letting me speak with her, using one excuse after the other as to why I can't speak to her. And I want somebody to go there and find out what the hell's going on, right? Don't you think that these people, supposedly her good friends should have done that? And none of them did. Not a damn one of them did nothing. And by the time, they figured out she was, not on this earth to talk to anymore, she was already cremated. All the evidence had been destroyed. So it doesn't do no good to call the hospital. It doesn't do no good to call 911. It doesn't do no good to do anything now. Because what's done is done. But if these people were supposed to have been her good friends, they would have knew, one, she had no children. They'd have knew, two, she was an only child. They'd have knew, three, that she inherited all of her parents' properties. They would have knew, that Candace was sitting inside of her house, taking her to the cleaners, possibly, getting jiggy with her husband. They would have knew all of this. And they're over there, saying that, Candace called Alfred and told Alfred that, DeeDee wanted to go to the ER. No, Candace did not call Alfred. DeeDee called Alfred. because Candace tried to say her phone wasn't working. That's why she didn't call 911, because her fucking phone wasn't working just the way it wasn't working on June 15th, 2021, when 911 needed to be called for Summer. But then Grandma's phone was working and she still didn't call 911. She called Donald, right? She still didn't call no 911. She called Don Wells instead, but she didn't even call Fred. DeeDee called Fred. Told Fred that, you know, she wanted to go, that something wasn't right, that she wanted him to come home, that she needed to go to the emergency room. She said she was going to take a bath, get ready, and wait on him to come. That her head was hurting. And when he got home, Candace was sitting on the sofa, waiting for him to come through the door. DeeDee was already passed away. And Candace had done, you know, supposedly held her hand and poked her a few times to make sure, you know, she wasn't getting back up before she went and sat on that sofa waiting for Fred to come through the door. But she did not call 911. She did not call nobody. She did not do anything to try to save this woman's life. Right? I don't know. I have no idea if they kept any tissue or, you know, I would say no. That's my opinion. I would say no, they didn't, you know, didn't store no blood or tissue or anything. They usually don't. I mean, autopsies, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen one go down, or if you've ever, you know, had to go talk to a coroner about a certain case or something. But autopsies are very, you want to talk about invasive, they are super invasive. They are, you know, they are no fun. It can get real messy. It can get real messy. And it can be a real cleanup job. And most everything gets contaminated anyway, you know, through the first autopsy. Everything pretty much gets contaminated, you know. So I don't see them doing that, you know. I mean, if they took samples, then they only take the samples they're going to use at the time of the autopsy. They don't usually take extras. So I'd say no, they didn't. They don't usually take extra and store it back. That's what I'm trying to say. That isn't a routine thing. You know. So I don't know where these people's getting off if they're going to, you know, do a second one. Because she got cremated right after the first one. So I don't know. You know, they take, it's like when you go to the hospital for a biopsy, right? If you go to the hospital for some type of biopsy, they take this blood and tissue samples and everything, they send them off. They don't take extra ones. They don't take extra ones to send off. If the first one, something happens with the first ones, then they usually want you to come back in and supply them with some second one. You know, that's why you pray real hard that, you know, the first ones don't get lost or contaminated, or, you know, nothing happens with the first ones, so you don't have to do it again. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, they ain't got no big giant storage for all this extra stuff, you know, to use at a later date. That's just unheard of. If they, anytime, that they believe that, that it's, anytime that they believe that it's foul play, they refuse to release the body. And the reason they refuse to release the body is in case they need extra samples, or, to look into other things. They refuse to release the body because once they release the body, they know that they're not going to be able to go back and get nothing. They're not able to do a second time. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's not rocket scientist. That's common sense. Right, right. And that's why you be praying. Right? That's why you be praying that, it doesn't get, rerouted when it's going, when it's supposed to go one place. You're praying it don't get rerouted, or it don't get contaminated, or anything happens. I have seen contamination, happen in the laboratories. There's contamination, and they have to call the person and ask the person to come back in because they don't know if something's actually wrong with the person, or or if it was contamination. So you have to come back, you have to get new blood work and everything done, and then they send it back off. And, to make sure that it wasn't, that something is wrong, instead of it being contaminated. Most of the time it got contaminated. But, that's happened many, many, many times to many, many people. Hold on, you guys. Sorry, y'all. Sorry about that. Absolutely. Absolutely, Lisa. Girlfriend, I agree. I agree. Right. Exactly. Second to none. Exactly. Um, they they send, they don't, I ain't never heard of them sending a person to, you know, to the toxicology department. They usually just send all the samples there to be tested. It's a lab. Um, what happens is, if it's if it's a criminal case, they, the morgue. they hold you at the morgue, and kind of like freeze you in time, and nobody can, nobody can, your body won't be released until the investigation is complete. The family will come in, they'll argue and fight, and maybe even go to court and all kinds of things trying to get the release of the body. But usually the court system sides with law enforcement on keeping it from being released until the investigation is done, to figure out exactly what happened. Yeah, I didn't know that, DeeDee. And that's sad. That's sad because you know what? I didn't even know this woman. I didn't know her from Adam, to be honest with you. I just know what I've been told, and what I've heard many people, out of the mouths of different people. I don't make judgment on a human off of what one person says. I don't even make judgment off of someone just off of 2 or 3 people. But when I see, when I see 5, 10, 15 people coming forth talking about how good a person was and how kind they was, and and witnessing to all the good things, all these different people witnessing to the good things this person, done in their life, and so forth and so on. Then, then I make a call on what kind of human being they are. And this woman obviously was a very, very kind and giving and very giving person. And, it was sad because I feel that she liked to, she liked to give to people to make them like her. And I think she got took advantage of by some evil human beings, is what I believe. That's my personal opinion. I believe this woman, had a big void in her life. She had a big void. She wanted, she wanted to have friends and stuff, and she tried to buy them. She wanted to gift them stuff to make them like her. And people, I'm going to tell you, you can't buy people. Humans cannot be bought. If people, if somebody, if somebody is all warmed up to you, I tell you the best way to find out who your friends are and who ain't. Don't buy them nothing. Don't get them anything. Don't help them. Don't give them nothing, and see if they're still around, right? See if they're still, around and willing to be, nice to you and everything. And, if they act like you're a problem, then you move on down the road, because this person isn't worth having in your life. If what I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong with giving people, being kind and giving, but don't cast your pearls before swines. I mean, when you first meet somebody, first around them and so forth, don't give them gifts. Don't give them handouts. See how long they last. If they last, if they're really there because they like you and want to be your friend, yeah, at that point, sure, buy them birthday presents, buy them Christmas gifts. Of course, be nice to them. Be giving and kind to them. You know, if they need a hand up, then you should, then you should put your hand out. Absolutely. But, I don't, in this woman's case, I don't think that, from what I've, been able to, with observation, what I've been able to see, she got used and abused, and these people didn't even know her. Nobody even bothered to, they knew that Candace was around her. They knew that Candace was making excuses, telling them they couldn't talk to her and she's busy, one thing and another. I don't know why nobody, Candace didn't get her no help. But all these people saying they were her friends, supposedly talking to her all the time, they didn't get her no fucking help either. It took them 3 damn weeks. 3 damn weeks. And they still didn't call law enforcement. Candace just voluntarily finally told them that the lady's deceased. They didn't know, right? This lady was a mod. She was a mod for White Boy. I believe she was a mod for DeeDee. And neither one of them took note in 3 weeks that she wasn't modding. Right? 3 whole weeks. They didn't take no notes. That she wasn't there. I mean, if Pam wasn't here for 3 weeks, I think I know. Right? If Australia wasn't here, if Brat wasn't here, second to none, in 3 weeks, I think we're going to start taking note. Like, where are they? Right? We started taking note immediately when Miss Norway wasn't coming in. Right? We're like, where is she? Where is she? And she came in, let us know that she wasn't feeling well. But we were all up in the air, right? Where's she at? Same way, the same way with UFC Frog. When we don't see him for a while, we start wondering what happened to him. Where's he at? Last we heard, but he told us, he came on and he told us that he was in Arizona. He was working. He was, trying to get some things together. Next thing, and I hadn't heard about him in a while, and I was wondering where he's at. And he showed up, and he's now in California, but when you don't hear from people, you start to get worried about them. But if I was talking to somebody every day, like if I was talking to Pam every day, or, Australia every day, I would, and I didn't hear from her, or I called her up and somebody like Candace, a #1 suspect's at her house, telling me I can't talk to her, I'm going to call 911. I'm going to be sending law enforcement to Australia's house. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be sending them there. And I tell her, I'm very sorry, but I was worried about you. And I want to make sure you're okay, because I know what's around you. And I want to make sure you're all right. Right? She could be upset with me, but she's going to get law enforcement on her front door checking to see if she's okay. That's just who and what I am. No, Andrew, and Pandu, oh Pandu, heck no. He's probably, right now he's probably sitting crisscross with this cat on the floor, having some freaking, egg rolls and fried rice, Pandu, kind of sounds oriental, don't it? But yeah, that's probably where he's at. I'm going to tell you something. Evil's hard to get rid of. Andrew, man, I tell you what, when an evil human goes out of this world, it's hard to believe because they like live forever, right? They live forever. You're like, what? Oh, hell, that you got to go look for yourself. You have to go look for yourself. You got to go make sure. Like you have to go all the way. You have to go all the way to the coroner's office. Go all the way in there. Knock on the door and want to see them, because that's how hard it is to believe that an evil person actually, went out of the world. A good person, when you hear a good person went out of the world, you're like, oh yeah, that's true. I believe that. But when you hear about an evil person, you're like, what? Oh, hell no. You lying. Right? No way. Quit joking with me. I don't like them kind of, don't be kidding like that. Oh yeah, I bet he is. I think he was in love with me. I think Andrew was in love with PG. Yeah, I'm sure he's probably real upset. He's probably real upset that I'm not, that I'm not free any longer. He has no chance now. That little tiny pinhole he was seeing, well, it got covered over. I bet that does, I bet that does bother him. Oh boy was truly in love with PG. Right? Anyway, I wanted to let you guys know some of the things. And I think Don Wells, I'm going to tell you, everybody, like all them, the Turd Pop Club, the whole Turd Pop Club, is all talking about Donnie, how they feel so sad for Donnie now, how, oh, Donnie this, Donnie that. What the hell? Oh, Candace is a big boo-boo, and she's a big nightmare. She's dark and evil and, all of these things. But Donnie, oh man, he's just a big shining light. Poor Donnie. I'm going to tell you what, that mother freaker right there, I'm going to tell you, he's the head of that snake, right? He's the mother freaking head of that cobra slithering around on 110 Ben Hill Road. He's the head and Candace is the body. That's all I got to say. Trust and believe me. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he sure did. Donnie sure did keep her name out here, didn't he? I could show you all the ways he kept her name out here, but I don't think you're going to like it. Right? I got plenty of video footage of how he kept her name out here. What a scumbucket. I'm going to tell you something. Unbelievable. But I'm going to tell you, I wanted to go over some stuff tonight. I believe that, she had the gallbladder surgery, not what DeeDee's trying to say she did. I think DeeDee's lying. I think DeeDee lies a lot. That's just my opinion, because she knows that I don't think they would have gave her that surgery, because you got to be obese to get it, that's a requirement for that. But I mean, you have to need it before a doctor will do it. That's what I'm saying. you really have to need it before they do it, because it is invasive, it's dangerous, you know, they don't suggest certain people doing it. Oh yeah, him and Candace Wells, man, I'm gonna tell you, they're them two mother freakers right there, they're vipers. Trust me. When I say it, I'm not gonna say my opinion because it's the truth. It's the truth. They're evil. They're evil as evil can get. No shit. And I got the proof. I got the proof how evil they are. I got all the proof I need on video to show how evil them two are. And I'm sure anybody that sees it and hears it will agree with me. Now, we all know that Candace got Summer no help whatsoever at the age of 3 years old, right? She got little Summer no help.
True.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. You gotta tell Mama Bennett what you just told me. About this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who called you? Who's harassing you? What?
Not now.
Oh.
When me and Santa lived up on the hill, up in, what was it? Just behind the Rover store. They called us at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were on our way to our house. Summer was 3 years old, and I guess Candace had, I think it was a mess, or something on the table, and she was high off her ass, and she left the room, and Summer got into it, and she called us, and she showed up at our door, and Summer was like, she was shaking and crying.
Oh my God.
And I was like, y'all need to take her to the hospital, and she was like, no, we would have got arrested. So there we are, holding a freaking 3-year-old crying because she's scared and high out of her mind. Oh my God. Yeah. So, they never cared about them kids.
And
CPS does nothing. No. That's what I'm saying. Like, when they did CPS checks, how the hell does she pass inspection?
Now, Allison, right here. After True told about what happened about Candace, you know, this is Allison denying. Allison didn't want people looking at her as the person she truly was. Allison would cover up. I believe True. I believe every word that True said. I really do. And True, what True told made Allison look bad. Allison knew if something had happened to Summer, if Summer did not pull through that night, that they were going to do the same thing that happened on June 15th. Allison knew that they would have done the same thing then that they done on June 15th. Covered it up. That Summer would have went missing at the age of 3. They would have been hollering abduction at the age of 3 instead of 5. And Allison played a part in that at the age of 3, and I believe she played a part of it in the age of 5 as well. That was Candace's safe place. Allison and her family was Candace's safe place, where Candace could pull off 30 deeds, where she could pull off 30 deeds, and no one would tell. You know, these were some very, you know, this was evil hanging with evil. This is evil, and I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of that evil in this world. Trust and believe me, I've been in those cesspools. I've been right there in the middle of them kind of cesspools where there's a whole lot of people around. And I tell you what, when the shit went down, all of those people scattered. They all scattered. They didn't see nothing. They wasn't there. Or else they all put their heads together and to find another place for for this to have happened other than where it truly did, right? And nobody tells on nobody. That's just the way it is. You see nothing, you hear nothing, you say nothing. You keep your damn mouth shut. And you better keep your mouth shut too. You know better. You know better than to not keep your mouth shut. You could get awful hurt. And more than likely completely destroyed if you're in certain groups. And if they just think that you're a weak link, if they just think that you might tell something, well, you probably ain't going to be around very long. A lot of times you don't have to tell. They just have to be paranoid enough to think you are, to destroy you as well. These people are really evil human beings. And I believe Allison, she was, as wicked as they were, in my opinion. That's my opinion. From what I observed of her, don't get me wrong, I loved Allison. I loved this woman. She was funny. She just did funny things, and I have nothing, really nothing against Allison. I think she got put put many times with her back against the wall, for a lot of different reasons. But, I think she felt that her way of life was the way life was, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody ever, I don't think she ever had anybody in her life to show her that life could be different, that isn't the life you got to live. So that's my opinion on Allison. But I do think that, I think people put her, like, for instance, Summer's case. I think Allison, in Summer's case, I think, by the time Allison realized what a horrific mistake she had made, socializing with Dawn and Candace and Grandis and the likes of these evil people, it was too late. I think by the time she realized what a damn mistake she had made, her son, livelihood was on, was on the line. What I'm saying is, I think that by the time Allison, realized how evil of a bunch of people she was dealing with, June 15th came, and the vehicle was pulling back up at her residence, packing a 5-year-old child inside to be cleaned up, to be dressed, and to be staged. And I truly believe that, there was probably, some real words between Allison and Candace and Grandis. And I think some of those words was, What are you doing bringing this child inside my home? You know, on a live like this? You can't be bringing this in here. Yes, we can. Your son did it. Right? Your son's the one going to go to prison if you don't help us clean it up. And you know, and do what it takes to make it go away. I think that conversation was going on inside Allison's house, you know, on June 15th, 2021. And I think that's when she realized what real fucking evil she had got herself mixed up with. And I think the only reason that, you know, she did what needed to be done was to protect her son, who should not have been protected. And that's my opinion. That's, you know, but I believe True. True was a teenager not afraid to talk and let out the truth. You know, True felt that she's a little thug too. She hangs around with, you know, she ain't afraid of no Don and Candace. She hangs with people way worse than them. And they ain't going to be scaring her, which I believe she does. I believe that True hangs with people way worse than Don and Candace. And I don't think she has any reason to be afraid of them at all. I mean, she's in a real cesspool, if you ask me. You know, I think True knows what the real cesspool is about. And she wasn't afraid. She wasn't scared to speak up and tell, you know, what she knew about these people. Allison, on the other hand, was intimidated, and she had a son on the line. And that's why she's sitting there, you know, like, I don't remember that. You know, I'm trying to get a hold of my mother and talk to my mother about this. And, you know, no. I truly believe, you know, I truly believe
True.
this.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. You gotta tell Mama Bennett what you just told me. About
What?
this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who called you? Who's harassing you? What?
Not now.
Oh,
When me and Santa lived up on the hill up in, what was it? Just behind the Rover store. They called us at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were on our way to our house. Summer was 3 years old, and I guess Candace had, I think it was meth or something on the table, and she was high off her ass, and she left the room, and Summer got into it, and she called us, and she showed up at our door, and Summer was like, she was shaking and crying.
oh my God.
And I was like, y'all need to take her to the hospital, and she was like, no, we would have got arrested. So there we are, holding a freaking 3-year-old crying because she's scared and high out of her mind. Oh my God. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. That little girl wasn't lying. She was telling the straight up truth. And, you know, and as you've seen, you know, it was a tragic, you could tell she was still remembering the tragedy that particular altercation had, you know, had instilled in her. You know, you could tell how, you know, how it was still there, fresh in her mind, her body, soul, you know, it was right there. And she was telling it, you know, with graphic detail of everything, you know, her mind could not forget. You know, 2 years, you know, it's been 2 years. And it had a hell of an impact on this young girl that should have not ever seen or had to experience such a thing under her own roof of her house from people as evil as Candace Wells, right? But she did. But she did. And then 2 years later, you know, the little girl's completely missing. And I'm sure True knows the truth about what happened to Summer. I'm sure True knows what went down June 15, 2021 at that water hole. I'm sure True knows exactly where Summer got, cleaned up, dressed, and makeup put on her, and all staged back up in the vehicle. I'm sure True knew her mother's deepest, darkest secrets and her brother's. But she ain't going to tell it because, see, the reason she ain't going to tell about June the 15th is because if she told that, well, she'd be telling on her brother, right? The same reason Allison kept it shut up. That's why True's going to keep it shut up too. When you got a dog in the race, you got to keep your mouth shut. That's just how it is. Oh no, there ain't. And Don and Candace loves going around getting other people involved in their bullshit, right? They love to spread that evil. They love to spread it, you guys. That's the truth. Yeah, she could have. She could have, second to none. Absolutely. She could have been saved from that tragedy, but she wasn't. She wasn't.
They never cared about their kids.
They didn't ever care about those kids. I'm going to tell you, this little girl was made to grow up way too fast. True was made to grow up way too fast. No child should have, been subject to all of that. But Candace got DeeDee no help as well, right? She got DeeDee no help either. Candace is morbid. She's morbid. She likes to see people go out of the world. She likes to feel that she has that kind of control over someone's life. She likes to, think that, she's one of those people that likes to feel that, she was letting Summer live. Her life was in Candace's hands, whether she lived or she doesn't. DeeDee's life was in her hands, whether she lives or she doesn't. Right? Candace likes to feel that, she can take people out of this world and not give a fuck. She likes that adrenaline. Am I going to get caught or not? You mother effers don't know. You don't know. Fuck around and find out. She likes to sit there with her deep, dirty, dark secrets, grinning like a freaking, like a python at you, thinking you don't know how fucking evil she truly is. And she gets off on that. I'm going to tell you something. She don't like people like PG because people like me are able to see her ugly, evil ass for what the fuck she is from day one. And she knows people like me ain't gonna give her an opportunity to strike. And that scares her. But that's one of the similarities right there. Right there. I'm going to tell you another thing that we got to take in consideration. We have to take in consideration we got to take in consideration that Summer was looking very, very sick. That DeeDee was looking very sick too. I'm sure if Summer could call 911 to go to a hospital, she would have. DeeDee was wanting to go to a hospital also. What's Candace doing? I'm sorry, you guys. I got this cold. Was Candace doing to Summer what she was doing possibly to DeeDee as well? Was she? Was she making Summer sick so that she could actually get Donald and Grandis to go along with destroying Summer? Was she making her sick? So she could get other people on board with destroying that little girl because she wanted her out of the away from Donald, the same way she wanted DeeDee away from Alfred. See, Candace had all to gain getting Summer away from Donald. She felt she had all to gain off the back of Summer. And she felt she had all to gain off the back of DeeDee as well. We've got to think about that, right? We got to think about that. And both of them. Now, she may have made Summer look sick to get Dawn and Grandis and them on board to completely take Summer out, destroy her, to get her completely out of the way. She actually needed their help in covering it up. She didn't really need nobody's help in covering DeeDee up. Because, see, DeeDee was, a different ball game. Summer was a 5-year-old child that had been being, in my opinion, done really wrong. I believe that, they were doing some real evilness to this little girl. They couldn't take her. What I'm saying is Candace couldn't take Summer to the hospital a couple of times and then finish her off like DeeDee. Because if she took Summer to the hospital, they was going to find out some stuff that would put them in prison. Even though she wanted Summer out of the way, she couldn't, she couldn't take the risk of them, doing a examination that's going to show, essaying and everybody be put in prison. So, because she had been wanting to, to make her sick. Because the similarities of DeeDee and the similarities of Summer, health-wise, the way they went down the same way, kind of like Leslie and Allison. Both of them supposedly had the flu. Both of them they all hit their heads. Both of them went into comas. Both of them died. Both of them got cremated. What the fuck is the odds of that? You tell me, what's the odds of two people going out the same exact way? You tell me that. And also, you tell me how Summer was looking exactly the way DeeDee was looking. The only difference was DeeDee was able to go to the hospital and, build up like she's got something wrong with her before the final, destroying, where Summer couldn't have been took to a hospital before the final destroying, but she could have been getting sick the same way DeeDee was in order for Candace to have an excuse to completely get rid of her. Right? Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 if you agree. That's just my opinion, It's just what I'm seeing. It's just what the similarities that I'm seeing between the two cases. Right? It's just the similarities that I'm taking note of. Just saying. I mean, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to me. I told you guys, I said, I don't know. I don't know exactly what was making Summer sick like that. I had no idea. I thought that, that they let something really, somebody go too far. And, but also, Candace was seeking to get Summer away from Dawn. She was seeking to get rid of this little girl because she's tired of her being in between her and Donald. She was getting jealous of this little girl. Put a 2 in the chat if you remember. If you remember Candace talking about how Dudley was paying more attention to Summer and upset at Candace because he wasn't paying attention to her. She made mention of Dudley, staring at Summer as if Candace was jealous. And she made mention that Dudley was staring at Summer in a wrong way. In her mind, it was, not normal. She was thinking evil. She was thinking evil. So it would make perfect sense that she would do something to make it look like this little girl needed to be destroyed so she could get her out of the middle of her and Donald. The same way, in my opinion, she possibly got DeeDee out of the middle of her and good old Alfred. Right? Just saying. Just, It's sick. Yes, it's very sick. I'm not, I can't deny that. It's very, very sick. But, but true. And you guys think Don's such a good person? Day Day, you think Don's a good person, white boy? Y'all over there think he's such a good person. Oh, goodness. Poor little Donnie. Poor, poor, poor Viper Don. That mother freaker's getting old enough to start calling him Diaper Don, right? Viper Diaper Don. Let's hear how great Don Wells is. Let's take a listen to how great he is.
Has actually taken out a life insurance policy with £2 million on that.
Well,
That he has to make a decision because he's not made otherwise. We know that he's insured money. Should she die? He's about to become incredibly well, and that's going to fund his new life with his mother in Australia. Should she die? Should she die? Should she die?
He's talking about insurance. He's talking about insurance there. Trying to get insurance on somebody in another freaking country. He's not even trying to get it in this country. What an idiot. And he's talking to him. You could plainly hear him talking to him. Oh no, that was a commercial on TV. No, that was him trying to get some insurance. And him thinking he could get it somewhere else. So it couldn't be, tracked here. Right? But if that ain't enough for you, let's listen to this. Hey, yes, you should have tried an experiment. Like what? Come up with an elaborate story. Just see how many believe it. Like Candace left Summer in the car. That's not very elaborate. And then tell them the truth. And just say the truth is that this was a scientific experiment. Right there. About this case, about Summer. Well, people can be dangerous. They believed all the wrong things at first, but the truth always prevails. Maybe, maybe an abduction. He wants to do an abduction. A fake abduction. A fake abduction. He wants to do a fake abduction of another child. Right? People can be dangerous. They believed all the wrong things at first, but the truth always prevails. Maybe a fake abduction. Well, right there. Take a listen to what he says. People can be dangerous. They believed all the wrong things at first, but the truth always prevails. Maybe a fake abduction. The truth prevails. What were they doing at first? They were trying to make it look like a fucking abduction, which would have been a fake abduction. Right? They were believing all the wrong things at first that she wandered off. But the truth prevails. A fake abduction. he was telling, he was basically telling the story of what happened to his daughter in a way to get it off his chest, but no one could do nothing about it. He's saying that, you know, at the beginning, they thought she wandered off. He was telling them she didn't, but they wouldn't listen. He says the truth shall prevail, fake abduction, which he's saying the truth is it was a damn fake abduction too. She didn't wander off. It was a fake abduction. He's telling the truth in a way that he laughs and feels no one's going to catch on. It's an inside jokes with him and Candace. Let's fuck with them. Let's fuck with them. Let's get laughs out of them. Because we're evil, sinister bastards. Let's show them how evil we truly are. Let's tell these fucks the truth in a roundabout way so we can laugh when they're not getting it, when they're too stupid to read between the lines, right? Because that's Don Wells' sense of humor. I knew that early on. Very sick, very sinister, very evil. Very evil. And he wanted, get this, he had the audacity to try to make another child, somebody else's child, someone that would be dumb enough to offer their child up to be taken away, probably wasn't coming back. There wasn't going to be no fake about it. Because see, the one thing the Wells learned during Summer's missing cow case is there is a big market. There's a big market of making money in another area besides the one they had been, you know, like big money, not little money like they was making, but big money. Are you stupid enough to let us, you know, we're going to tell you the truth of what happened. You know, we was plotting a fake abduction because we truly destroyed our, you know, we truly destroyed our daughter, Summer. And in my opinion, they did. But during all of this, they found out there was a market, a real market. And I believe they was trying to set up a real abduction by acting like it's fake if they could get this, you know, person to go along with it and allow them to use one of their children. And the child wouldn't have been brought back. And Candace and Don would have been sitting there like, we don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're fucking crazy. This is insane. I don't know what they're talking about. I think they were trying to get into another market. I think that's also why you see them walking around carrying those cameras, following those little girls. I think they found another market. Let us remember, a mother and her 3 children disappeared in Arkansas at the hotel. Let us not forget this. Let us not forget it. I think that their evil didn't do nothing but teach them how to be even more evil. It just, you know, It just turned up the volume on their evilness. Gave them bigger pictures, bigger goals, bigger self-gain, if they could pull it off. These are some real sick, evil human beings. And let me tell you, let's not exclude Don Wells. Let's not exclude him. I ain't excluding him. Also,
Crazy. No, you don't know. No, this is not Kathy. Sorry. Nope.
while this was going on, while this live right here was going on, DeeDee was deceased. DeeDee was deceased. Candace was keeping it a secret. She's sitting at DeeDee's place, selling all of DeeDee's stuff. She's right there in DeeDee's house, eating big bowls of lasagna. Yeah. While DeeDee was eating an autopsy. Okay? She's in there eating lasagna, and this woman was eating an autopsy. Well, actually getting ate by an autopsy, right? There you go. Look at her. Look at that big ass. Let's go back here. Let's go back. Let's go back here. Come on, show it. Look at her. Where's that big ass plate? She just had that big ass plate up in the air. Come on. Let's see that big plate. Where is that plate? There's old lady stuff. Let's turn this on.
Hey, Coupon Mom. I know color. I like it.
And look at that. Look at the I love you balloons. I mean, DeeDee's passed away. What the hell is these balloons? What the hell is those balloons? I mean, Fred must have given them to he had to give them to Candace. DeeDee wasn't there to give them to, right? DeeDee wasn't there to give them to. Look at her. There she is. Look, getting all the food. See? Look at that. Look at that. Chewing down the lady's damn food. Can you believe that? Yeah. Yep. That's my opinion too. That's my opinion too. Look at that. Look. No shame. I'm going to tell you something about evil, baby. It's got a face. It's got a face thicker than the fucking walls. Thicker than the damn walls. Right? At Fort Knox. Thicker than the walls of Fort Knox. That's how thick. That's how damn thick. That mother freaker's face is. Evil has the thickest face. I'll tell you something about evil. It can fuck you over and come and show you that ugly damn face again and think it's going to fuck you over twice, right? Because that's how evil is. Evil has no shame, man. They have no shame about showing their damn face to you. Sit there and stare you right in the face when they don't do nothing but fuck you over. Man, there's a special place in hell for them people. Trust and believe me. A special place in hell. Look at her. Look at her and look at the size of that fucking spoon. Look. Look at that. Oh my God. I can't do this. That's just too fucking disgusting for me. Can't do it, y'all. That's gross. That's enough. But as you know, she's got all that woman stuff out there selling it. She's calling DeeDee up, telling DeeDee, do you want to buy all of her pocketbooks? Do you want to buy all of her jewelry? Do you want to buy all of her other stuff? You know, going to sell it for pennies. It's a real deal. And what did she do with Summer stuff? Let us remember. What she couldn't sell, she gave the church. Right? What she couldn't sell, she gave the church. And like, you know, and like a freaking serial killer, right? She had her trophy box, right? She kept a trophy box. The jacket Summer was wearing that day, the top she was wearing, all the things they said that Summer went missing in, she had hiding in a box. She gives law enforcement a pair of dirty shorts that God knows who was wearing out of a dirty basket of clothes that had been, you know, all contaminated to try to go find, you know, to give to the search dogs. But the jacket the child freshly had on, and the top she freshly had on, and the little sundress and bathing suit, no. She don't give those to the police, did she? Hell no. She gave none of that to the police. She left that bathing suit, and she left some of those clothes with Allison, the little sundress, the bathing suit, the stuff. She gave that to Allison, said, you make sure you wash it up good. She put the other outfit on her, took that video, got to the house, took it off of her, put her down in that black tote that she happened to mention when there was brown boxes. Went down to Freddie's place, meets up with Chad, follows him out at Ben Hill Road. Just funny that there's an open grave across the road. They just happened to dig that day. Andy said, it's done. And I believe that child is over there in it. And she kept all that stuff hidden away in that box. Because she, you know, she wanted to remember. She wanted to remember. She, you know, she wants to remember that she made Allison worship stuff to go back and get. She wanted to remember that she dressed her up to take that video. She wanted to keep her memorabilia in that box. Just saying. I'm going to give you some of the similarities. Candace gives Summer no help. Twice. Once at the age of 3 due to illegal substances. Again at the age of 5 when Summer went missing. Candace got DeeDee no help as well. Summer was looking and feeling sick. So was DeeDee. Candace wanted Summer away from Donald. Candace wanted DeeDee away from Fred, right? Alfred. Candace had all to gain off of Summer's back. She had all to gain off of DeeDee's back as well. She's driving her car, sleeping in her house, eating her food, selling all of her stuff. Candace got rid of all of Summer's things. She was getting rid of all of DeeDee's things. Similarity after similarity after similarity. Right? It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But I already see them turd pop suckers trying to get their foot right back into the grace of these two evil human beings that possibly plotted and planned and carried out another sinister act, just like the one they did upon Summer Moon Utah Wells, their own daughter. And in my opinion, they carried it out. All the evidence points to them, and law enforcement knows it. Now, will they get away with what they've done? I think so. I think so. I do not believe that DeeDee's death is going to be looked into any farther than it already has, due to the fact that she's already been cremated and there's nothing left to look into. Just like Allison ain't going to be looked into any farther because there's nothing further to look into. She's been cremated. And so has Leslie. And my personal opinion is Candace's sugar daddy happens to be named Alfred. And if somebody, if someone keeps an eye on it, and if someone finds out that Fred passed away, then and goes to law enforcement early on, maybe an investigation could be opened up and find out why these people's fallen over when Candace is around and Donald is hiding. Maybe they will be able to figure that out. Now, if you take note, during DeeDee, the time DeeDee died, let us take note that Don Wells was hiding. And he made sure he was up on White Boys. He was coming on to White Boys. He was having all to do with White Boy. So everybody would know where he was. Just like he was hiding at work on June 15, 2021. He was hiding again. You know some shit's going down when Don Wells starts showing up. Look at me, like he did at work that day with the boss and his co-worker. You know some shit's going down. And you know he's involved. And that's exactly what he was doing during the time DeeDee passed away as well. Put a 1 in the chat if you took note of that. Because I sure did. I did. I said, what the hell's he doing out here? Like he doesn't ever even hardly answer the phone for this guy. And like, this guy very seldom gets to have anything to do with Donald. It's out of, this is out of character. Because this guy's usually, like complaining, Don don't want, and all of a sudden Don's wanting everything to do with him. And this woman ends up dead. Doesn't make no sense. Doesn't make no sense. I said, yeah, something ain't right. He was covering his ass. He's covering his ass just like he did at work that day. There you go, you guys. That dude ain't no saint. He's a snake, right, Don? Oh, PG knows me so well, Donald says. She knows me so well. Yeah. It could have. It could have. Yes. Yes, Susan. Absolutely. Very possible. Very possible. Or it could have been for her dad. It could have been for her dad because her dad died in 2023. And I don't know what he died of. But I think that's around the time she started affiliating herself with the Wells, because that's when Jinkies was having all the Christmas vigils and stuff like that. And she was getting connected with them. So it could have been her and her dad. I don't know. But I do know they was trying to do it, somewhere else, kind of like, putting your money offshore. You could put money offshore. You could probably get insurance offshore too. I don't know. I ain't never tried that shit. But then again, I'm not a criminal. If I was a criminal, I probably could tell you more about it. But I'll be able to tell you more about it when I look deeper into it. Ain't hard to find things out if you really want to. I mean, I found out how old DeeDee was, right? 55. I found out how old her husband was, right? I found out exactly. I got pictures. Of both of their, of her dad's house in Tennessee. Really nice home, worth almost $400,000. And I got pictures of the house in Georgia. The one Candace was sitting at. As soon as you see it, you'll know that. Yeah, that's the house. I got pictures of everything. And, I got all the information. Don't take long to get what you want when you're really seeking and looking for it. And I'm going to keep digging. And trying to find out who the old man was in the cabin as well. I'm going to try to figure out where that cabin was and whose daddy or grandpa that wicked bitch was around. And what happened to them. Hopefully they're still alive. If they ain't, I'm going to be suspicious, right? I'm going to be suspicious. But anyway, I'm going to let Pam up for a second, and then I'm going to head out of here with you guys. Hey, Pam, what's up, girlfriend?
Nothing. What's up with you?
Not much. I was just getting ready.
I got a joke for you while you're ending it.
It better not be a joke like last night.
No. What did the eye doctor say to his new patient, Jose?
You need glasses?
Nope.
What did he say?
Jose, can you see?
I like that one, Pam. That's cute. That's really cute.
And I gotta say the dollar store.
Right.
For PG little girl.
I appreciate it.
It is so evil that Candace needs to come out and tell where her daughter is to end all of this. But we know she's a coward.
Right?
She ain't coming forward.
No.
She got what she's right there around everything she'd made. If you remember, back when Candace, or when they found people remains, Candace would call every man on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah. I'm going to tell you what. Yeah, her head was turning like a doorknob, right? She definitely got
yeah.
it like a doorknob when it comes to those men. She didn't care if they married, they not married. She, got kids, don't have kids. She don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you, her and her mama, Lord, let me tell you something. If they was back in the Western days, they'd be running the cat house, right? They sure the hell would. They evil.
Candace knows exactly what happened to Summer.
Right?
And so does Don.
That's true.
And everybody else up there. But like Freddie Hill said, everybody up there on Beach Creek and Ben Hill are related one way or the other. And Ronnie was too busy trying to get his son out of a 20-year sentence.
Right. I think, I think they really dropped the ball on this little girl.
Exactly.
But I think her case will be solved. I think it really will.
Summer needs justice.
I truly believe that Summer's case will be solved once Ronnie's gone. Once he leaves, I think that's when the case will be solved.
And I'm going to correct myself.
I think that's when they're going to feel in the clear to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to correct myself. The other day I said 26 years. It was 23 years that my niece has been gone.
Oh, APG's little girl. I appreciate that, girl. I appreciate it.
Super sticker.
I'm just tired. I'm just tired tonight, girl.
But it's okay. I just come up to say a joke and
yeah.
God bless you.
Hey, God bless you too, Pam.
The only ones that I heard about the age was from the WB. That's where I heard the age at. So I didn't know. But thank you for bringing that to our attention.
She was 55. Her old man's 58.
Yeah, but it's going around that she was 45.
Yeah, she wasn't. They tried to say she was 44. She was 55 years old. Her old man's 58 years old. And Don's 6. How old is Don? He's 63. And he's 64. I don't know. I know he's old.
Candace is 43.
Diaper Don. Yeah.
You mean Penny Don? Red Penny Don and Poodle Don? Don't have a poodle, Donald Doodle it. Poodle Doodle Don.
Poodle Doodle Don, yeah. Poodle Doodle Donnie. Poodle Doodle Donnie went to town. Riding on a can.
All right, I love you, PG. God bless.
I love you too, girl. Good night, Pam.
Night.
All right, you guys. Pam's a case. She's a case, you guys. But I love her. I do. I love Pam. Listen, you guys. Keep those prayers going up for Summer Moon Utah Wells. Keep them going up for her. Keep them going up for Sebastian. Keep them going up for Michael Vaughn. Keep them going up for little Jack and Lily. And keep them going up for Emmanuel. They haven't found him, but Emmanuel's dad has pleaded guilty in the unliving of Emmanuel. He pleaded guilty. The mother is playing the victim. She's playing the victim after she lied, did everything she could to get that monster, to get that monster off from doing the evil deed he did to that beautiful child. she's playing the victim. But hopefully the judge sees through it. Hopefully the prosecutor see through it, and hopefully they give her just as much time in prison as they give him. And you know, I just pray, you know, that he tells where the little boy is at, so he can be laid to rest properly, so that, you know, the family that does love him and does care about him can have a place, you know where he's at, have a place to go visit him up, talk to him, put flowers on him, let him know how much he's loved, right? Maybe he can see from heaven above how much people care. I hope so. And we can all get closure. We can all get closure in that particular case. God bless him. God bless him. But keep the prayers going up in the name of Jesus Christ for all of the missing children. Pray that we don't have any more. Seems like we're getting more and more every day, but I keep praying there won't be any more done like this. And pray for one another. From our lips to God's ears, let us pray for one another as well. We don't know what each other needs, but God does. Let us pray that he answers all of our prayers in the name of his Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Good night, everybody. God bless. Keep the faith. Good night.